Welcome to Chapter 3, an overview of the healthcare financing system. This is HCA 515. The book that we are using is Economics for Healthcare Managers by Robert H. Lee, the fourth edition. You can follow along. This chapter is really a bridge chapter between Chapter 2 and Chapter 4, and I say that ironically because 3 is between 2 and 4, but it really is an overview of 2, and it just really kind of slowly is helping us get into Chapter 4. So a lot of the things that you hear in this lecture, you have already heard in Chapter 2, so we're going to move through it pretty quickly. Again, stop, take notes, reference your book, write down any questions that you have, take your questions to your discussion, and ask your classmates, and also ask your instructor. Want to make sure that we get all of those things out that you are unclear about, and make sure that we have enough time throughout the week to discuss as much as each of you would like. So after completing Chapter 3, you will be able to explain why health insurance is common, identify major trends in insurance, use standard insurance terminology, describe major insurance problems, and find insurance information. Identify positive and normative economics as well. So the big question is, who pays for healthcare? Healthcare is expensive. Who pays for it? Consumers pay for healthcare directly via their out-of-pocket payments or indirectly via insurance premiums, wage reductions, and taxes. So even if you have insurance, you still pay an out-of-pocket portion. So it's directly paid and indirectly paid by our consumers. Now, our consumers are patients, family members, state, if it's a state insurance program, those are all consumers. Patients are not just consumers. Okay, so if you have a 7-year-old who is the patient, they're not paying for it. Their parents are paying for it. Their parents are paying for it out of their insurance because they're 7. So remember that consumer does not always directly mean patient in this case and scenario in healthcare economics. It could be a variable amounts of different people. So let's look at our flow of funds in Medicare. You have your out-of-pocket payments, providers, government, employees, employers, Part B premiums, and Medicare beneficiaries. So you can see how this circle goes back and forth from Medicare beneficiary to out-of-pocket to provider to government, Part B, employer, and employee. And it's really just a big circle. It goes from one thing to the next, one thing to the next, one thing to the next. Financing is important because we pay our cost indirectly. We pay it via premiums, being wage reductions, and taxes. How we pay for our care influences what providers recommend and what patients choose to do. So you can see that sometimes you might go to the doctor and you might have a sinus infection and they'll give you an antibiotic that is very expensive. You won't know it's expensive until you get to the pharmacy and they try and fill it and tell you with insurance that's going to be $145. And you say, wait. You call the doctor back and you tell them that I can't afford that to send me a Z-Pack, so that's free. So those are some of the reasons why financing is so important, because our physicians and our providers need to know what course of action to take, and our patients need to know what is acceptable and what is not. A few people have very high healthcare costs. So the average spending in the United States is somewhere between $31,000 and $14,000 on the average spending. Our top 1% spend over $107,000, and our bottom 50% spend less than $250 per year. Insurance allows those to be very high cost to get care and avoid bankruptcy. So insurance is helping those top tier, top 5, top 10, top 20% avoid bankruptcy and are able to actually pay these healthcare costs because of whatever chronic conditions that they have that are keeping their costs so high. So what is insurance? Insurance pulls the risk of our healthcare costs and affects how much our consumers pay and what our providers get. It also affects our incentives. Insurance used to pay a share of the bill's amount. So let's say, for example, for a bill of $100, the consumer pays our co-insurance, which is $20, or a co-payment, a co-insurance of 20%, or a co-payment of $20. The insurer paid 80% or $80. Traditional insurance created several problems. Incentive for physicians to raise prices and to recommend additional covered services, and incentives for patients to use additional services, to focus on just what they need to pay for, and to be unconcerned about cost. Those are some of the biggest problems that we have right now that we're trying to backtrack out of. Managed care insurance, a reaction to the shortcomings of our previous slide, which gives negotiated discounts, utilization review, which means that we're doing a quality review of what's happening, what's going in, what's going out, who's getting better, who's getting worse. Steering customers to low-cost providers. We are telling customers, hey, this provider is doing a great job and has a high quality at a lower cost. If you use them, you might be able to get this type of service or this type of incentive. Also, a reaction to variability of cost. Cost and quality. Cost and quality should go hand in hand. Sometimes they do not, and the point of managed care is to ensure that they do. PPOs are the most common type of managed care. PPO, preferred, can mean willing to accept a discount and acceptable quality. Prices and insurance. U.S. prices are high and variable. We talked about that before. We talked about that last week. Spain and Switzerland are really cut dry. U.S., we have a 3-tier type program in the 25th percentile to the 95th percentile. That is a huge gap. Again, we see this. We talked about the same thing last week. We have a 25th percentile for $9,000 and the 95th percentile for $33,000 for an appendectomy. So the U.S. is just that's how it is. Negotiated pricing, top tiered pricing, capitated pricing. Yeah. U.S. private prices are high and variable. We keep talking about this. This is going to make more sense as we move later on through the chapters, but just take a look at this. So payment matters. So here we'll talk about discussing our payment systems, how providers get paid, how much providers get paid, how patients pay, how much patients pay, and then forecasting for our future. So payment systems are important because they affect incentives for providers, patients, and insurers. They affect ways for what you get provided, who provides it, and where it gets provided. Take that out. These dimensions matter. Providers want to produce more if that increased payment to them and the product is profitable. Patients want to buy more of a product that providers provide to them that are covered by insurance, that cost little, and have a compared benefit. Let's talk about how providers get paid. There are several different ways which our providers get paid. They can get paid an hourly salary. They can get paid per procedure, which is a piece rate. They can get paid per case or episode, which is a case rate, or per patient, which is a capitation. These payments can be modified by combining several pieces, a combining mechanism. So you have a salary plus a case rate for some services, a capitation plus a piece rate for selected services. They add incentives, so capitation plus immunization bonus, or a case rate plus a gain sharing. You have even more. These are just a few of how our physicians and our surgeons are being compensated for their work. The details can be important. What's the unit of service included? For what is the provider at risk? High cost services. Must the provider accept the fee for payment in full? these things are tricky, and they are actually important because we need to know who is taking our insurance and who is not. So now let's talk about how much providers get paid. Individual providers can increase output due to higher fees or reduce output to higher incomes. Higher fees usually increase volume, so that's when you will see wait times increase or decrease. Some providers produce more and some produce less. More providers start serving customers when they get paid a flat fee for no matter how many patients they see. Lower fees usually reduce volumes. How patients pay, again, directly and indirectly, and very indirectly. The more directly patients pay, the more choices reflect opportunity costs and the more risk that the patient themselves bear. How much patients pay? High copay reduces service demand. This is suggested and is meant to be very low, but sometimes it is not, depending on the services that are incorporated within that premium plan. Low copayments increase service demand. So if the copayment is low, more people will want to pay that, and it's going to increase the service on whatever that group of insurers have, or what they're looking for in terms of group rate. So different patients look profitable in different systems. So complex illnesses needing many tests are very profitable under piece rates, very unprofitable under case rates and capitation, and neither under salary. Simple illnesses needing minimal care are unprofitable under piece rates and profitable under case rates and capitation, and neither under salary. So future payment systems are likely to blend a variety of financial incentives, which means putting all those piece rates, salary, and all those things together in one. Keep our financial incentives and rely more on non-financial incentives as we move forward. So conclusion. Consumers pay for healthcare. We pay it via out-of-pocket and via our insurance premium, wage reductions, and even taxes. Insurance is common. Over 90% of the U.S. population has insurance. It's a pool of high-risk cost, and it also complicates things over time. And we've had insurance since the end of World War II, if I recall correctly. Most of us have group plans or employee sponsor plans or government sponsor plans. Individual plans are becoming more common via Medicare Advantage, Affordable Care Act, and this may be changing the entire system on what we pay and how we're paying for it. Incentives and outcomes depend on how providers get paid, how much providers get paid, what our patients pay, and how much our patients pay. Incentives must be used cautiously. Patients and providers may respond to too much or in undesired ways. Managed care seeks to change all of this. Designing incentives is very hard. There will be responses. Doctors do fight back. There may not be the desired response that we're looking for, changes in documentation. Right now, you already see that if you work in the healthcare system, where the insurance company is asking physicians' offices to verify everything that they do 2 or 3 times over. Changes on who gets seen in a truly perverse response. The goal must be clear: improved average quality versus more patients getting good quality. We want the best quality for our patients. We want our patients to be healthy, we want our patients to be healed, and we want our patients to recover. Process versus outcomes: how care is delivered, how patients do, or a mixture of the two. We want lower case acuity for our patients who are in the hospital, and we want our patients with chronic illnesses to stop seeing the physician or whoever their primary care is every 2 days. The main thing here is that financing is important. We pay indirectly and directly, and we pay for what influences our care, what our providers recommend, and what our patients do. And all of these are our outcomes.